Hey, this is Stacia, and we're going to take a look at a training game I played on chess.com to get ready for an upcoming tournament, the Cardinal Open. And this is a pretty interesting game. So my opponent was a little higher rated than me. And we had a Morra Gambit. So let's look at this. Okay, so it started with e4 and c5, the Sicilian defense, and I went for d4, the Morra Gambit, of course, and they took, and we got this position. So, okay, I do feel we have full compensation for a pawn here, and my opponent went with knight c6. I played knight to f3. And then d6. Okay, so I was curious what defense my opponent would want to do here. So after bishop c4, I was really curious if they might go knight f6. This is like, I think, a slight mistake because we can play e5 here and there's some trap lines. So if you're one of my students, pay attention because I expect you to know this. So if they take with a pawn, oops, actually, let's start with a knight. If they take with a knight, we actually have a win here. So if you want to pause your video and find it, do so. Yeah, we can actually take the knight, they take, and then we play bishop takes f7 check. There's nowhere for that king to go. He's got to accept it. And then yay, we win a queen. I like winning queens, so that's a good one. And if they take with a pawn, I think it's still a game. Let's check with the computer. Yeah, I guess white is better. What we do here is trade queens. Now they have an option. They can take with a knight or a king here. I think it's, if they take with a knight, we can play knight b5. And this is kind of fun. That fork's annoying. And a lot of people will be like, okay, I want to go here and defend it. But then they realize that, you know, we could take and then still do the fork. I've had some games go like that, blitz games. So a lot of times they'll just be like, okay, well, I'm going to defend, you know, with the king. But this loses. It's checkmate in 2. So if you want to find that one, go ahead. It's pretty straightforward. Check here. And yeah, that's checkmate. That's actually checkmate. And I call this pattern the knight square of death. The knights converge to make that nice little death trap. And bishops can do the same thing. 2 bishops can make a square of death as well. That's what I call square of death. So, yeah. So, but I think after, well, for example, though, I think like after knight b5, like rook b8, I think is a real move. Although I still think that white's doing good here. I mean, we could probably just take the pawn. We're on f7 still. This is comfortable for white, I would say. And the other way they could have played here is just take with the king. And sorry, I know I'm like going on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm kind of refreshing my memory in case any of this happens in this weekend. Yeah, here it's like we don't have this fork. But anytime the king moves 1 square over, you can go for the other fork. So I would do that and go knight g5 here. And yeah, and this is still a game. So this is very playable for white, though. Very playable for white. Yeah, and we're even down 2 pawns, aren't we? Yeah, we're down 2 pawns. Interesting. Okay, but in the game, my opponent decided to go e6. And I think this is a more correct move. And anytime black sort of creates the Scheveningen pawn structure, you're pretty much going to go into the main line, I think. So they can still mess it up, and I'll show you how. But I just castled. They went bishop b7. Knight f6, I'm sure, is also fine there. Queen e2, rook d1 is our normal plan. So that's what I did. Okay, and now black has to be careful one last time, because if they just simply castle here, we can play e5, and this is quite annoying actually. we're attacking the knight, and this pawn is actually pinned. So we're attacking the pinned pawn, and they have to be careful here. Like if they just go knight g4, it looks like a decent move, but we can take now. And I think we're just going to get a pinned bishop here and probably win it. Yeah, I think win it with either knight b5 or knight e4. I'll check with the engine. Yeah, they both win. And I was going to say this one, but I don't like it as much. Yeah, they can actually take and sack the queen. So white's still better, but you know, a rook and a bishop for the queen, and we were down a pawn. So okay, but I guess we did technically, no, we didn't win the pawn back, but okay. So the only way for black to survive here though is the move knight to e8. Sorry, it's turning into like a Morra opening lesson a little bit. But on knight to e8, I think it's totally fine to simply take here. And okay, if they, I see the computer likes bishop takes d6. If knight takes, we have bishop f4. Ah, I see. Yeah, so they have to take with the bishop because that stops bishop f4 because of probably that queen sack idea, right? No, actually they just play queen e7 now. Okay, they're not pinned, they're solid. I mean, actually, I mean, the computer is saying it's equal here. And maybe it is. I guess we sort of ran out of initiative. But we could continue the game with bishop g5. And, there's no positions like this in the database. Yeah, white played bishop g5 in this position instead of bishop f4. And computer says this is still an edge for white. Ooh, knight b5. I didn't think about that, but that would be the engine suggestion. Okay, so if we come back to the game, okay, we're going to be out of the opening now, almost. Okay, so they can't castle. I mean, they can, but it's risky. Let's put it that way. A better move is e5, and this stops white from playing e5. But now the game changes character because instead of playing for the initiative, now white has a positional concession that we can play for, because when black plays this move, e5, first of all, they wasted a tempo. That's not such a big deal. What's a bigger deal is that they gave up the d5 square for hopefully our knight, and they also weakened the d6 pawn forever. So it's going to be harder for them to get d5 because of that. And if we can keep this pawn weak, we have positional play now for the pawn. So it kind of changes the whole nature of the game. And so I played bishop e3. I think if knight g4 here, I was actually planning bishop c5. Let's see if that's right. It is. Okay, that's cool. So I thought, I'm not going to worry about that move. And they should probably castle, which they did. And now rook ac1. I just know that to be the main move. And in the main line, the main plan coming up is actually b4 and a3. Hopefully b4, b5 is what we want. But otherwise, maybe a3 and maybe even on bishop b6, which is likely to come. We'll take it and try to play against the e6 pawn, which will be weak. But black can also try stuff with bishop g4. So let's see what they did. They went bishop e6. Okay, so here I went b4. Now I think this is the main line. Let's see if that's true. It's actually not. Okay. So after castles, rook ac1, there's still 20 master games in the database. The main move is actually bishop g4. I was not aware of this. This is the first move I don't really know. I think this might have been played against me too by Mingyao Gu. at a Twinsburg tournament. I think he played this way. And the engine actually says white's fine. We can play h3. White's slightly better. Okay, but what if they take? I'd be afraid of that. Engine says no worries, just take. And then black should go queen d7. And we should go knight e2. Yeah, it's still a positional game. I'd be very hesitant to bring my knight away from that square. So I wonder where it's going. So if we just click through the whole computer line. Yeah, I thought the knight might be coming to g3 and f5, but black stopped it. And then b4. Okay, it's a game. Apparently this is kind of equal. In our game, after bishop b6, I went b4. So I had some ideas here. I thought, okay, I want to go b5 and I want the knight to move away. Maybe even there. If it does, I'll probably take that and then play knight takes e5. That was my idea. So I'm trying to use the pin. That's why b4 is kind of a good move. And if they take it right away, which they did do, then I thought I could play knight takes e5. So that's what I did. Computer agrees. Actually, I wasn't sure if I should trade first or take here. And I actually determined that I should go ahead and take it. Computer thinks they're both the same. Okay. Yeah, like, because I was thinking if they want to take the bishop, now I have the option to take with the knight, and this must be good, I thought. And it is. Okay, and, well, if they take the knight, they're still pinned, so I thought this must be pretty good. And it is. It's better for white. So in the game, they played queen to a5. So I have to admit, I didn't expect this move, which is maybe kind of bad because it does get out of the pin, which could be a problem. It also lines up with the knight, puts pressure on a2. Now I've got a2 like very defended, so I'm not too worried about that. But now they have the option to possibly capture this way as well. So I was very curious what to do here. I ended up going bishop takes e6. And now black has a choice. They can either take the knight with a pawn, they can take the bishop, or they can take the knight with a queen, I thought. They could do all those things. They ended up taking with a pawn, which I do think was a good decision. Because, okay, I mean, if you take here, I can once again go knight c4, I thought. And I still feel like I've got some play against the d-pawn. I'm not sure if they're going to go d5 or not, though. But at least these pawns are kind of separated from each other. And computer says this is just sort of equal. Yeah, and if they take this way, oops. Yeah, if they take this way, then once again, I can retreat my bishop somewhere. I probably would have went here. And they've still got that weak d6 pawn, so that's not ideal. So taking this way with this intermezzo makes a lot of sense because, well, my bishop's still attacked. And now the pawn structure is symmetrical, and I'm still down a pawn. So I went bishop b3, but I am down a pawn now. And it's not as clear what my compensation is. I actually thought I might be worse here. Turns out I'm still ahead in development, though. So, like, these rooks, they're not in the game yet. This bishop's not exactly the best placed. This knight is applying pressure on the pawn, but that's it. Otherwise, it's not very good. And I still have this d5 square I could potentially work with. So these elements in the position are still full compensation for the pawn. Okay, so he goes rook fd8, which I guess is a mistake. So I'm going to turn the engine off for a second. Now, I played f3 in the game, which is also a mistake. So clearly we have a way to punish this. So let's try to find it. What should we do? Taking the rook seems wrong, but maybe there's something concrete here. Bishop g5 comes to mind. Bishop d2 comes to mind. I was thinking about knight a4 in the game, but I thought if knight a4, you know, trying to potentially come in like this, I thought he could just play b6. I don't see any reason why not. Computer just wants to trade rooks and play rook c8. Okay, so it wasn't that. Now, I thought jumping in has to be wrong, right? Because they can take here. Oh my gosh. They can't do that. Because we're threatening that with check. But they could do this one. So it still doesn't seem great to me. So I'm sort of like confused. What is the move? Wow. Okay, I was not going to guess this one. It says g4. So Amog will be happy because he loves playing g4. Wow, I didn't consider that at all. So I guess this is an idea I need to keep in mind more. So the idea must be g5, like if black does nothing. Let's say black just plays this. Lazy move. Yep, g5, very strong. It's kind of, yeah, where does the knight even go? So let's say they trade. We play queen takes d1. They play knight e8. And we get this square now. Ooh, we have intermezzo checks. I can't do that one. So it seems like they should save their bishop, but how? Yeah, let's say they go there or something. We go knight e7 check anyway. Why? Are we opening up this diagonal? Like, what is this? Oh. No wonder they wanted to trade the rook. I kind of missed the fact that the rook's hanging. So, but this doesn't work because we take here. So, wow, this just falls apart so fast. That's definitely a new idea for me. I am going to keep that one in mind. But of course, I thought, what if they try to stop it though? Like after g4, what if they go h6? Then we go h4. No, we insist. We insist. Like, who cares about our king? Our king's safe, I guess. Wow. That's something. Okay, so this g5 idea. Wow, I'm going to keep that one in mind. So in the actual game, though, I did not see g5. I just played f3. Just playing it a bit safe. Just protecting that pawn, because once that pawn's protected, it frees up the knight to do stuff, right? So they went bishop to c5. And here, yeah, I thought that was an annoying move. Computer doesn't think it's that great. It wants to go rook ac8. Or trade rooks or play a6. But this move makes some sense. Black wants to trade off pieces and say that he's up a pawn, right? So I decided to take it, which is a mistake, I guess. I didn't like that he could take with check. But I guess that would be totally fine. So I guess... Oh my gosh. I was looking at this during the game. Engine wants bishop takes f7. I looked at this though. Yeah, I guess this actually does work, doesn't it? So the idea is we're forking. And we win a pawn that way. And the king gets a little unsafe as well, and we weaken the e-pawn. Yeah, that's definitely nice. Okay, but... Oh, and I actually missed this during the game. I missed that this was check, which is sort of unfortunate. Not sure why that's important. Oh, it's important because I was planning knight d5. I wanted to go knight d5 right now, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's check. So that's unfortunate. Queen takes d1. Rook c8 is a question mark. But in the game, I was a little nervous here because he just pinned the knight. So the only way to move the knight and unpin is to move the knight somewhere where it protects the rook. And the only square that does that is e2. And then I looked at that and I thought that might be a good move. And wow, okay, chess.com agrees. So knight e2, because now we've kind of turned the tables on black. And I did realize that it's not so easy to move the queen. I thought queen f8's like forced here. So we'll see if that's true. It is. It is forced. So he did play it. And then I thought, I have this little tactic, which is true. Bishop takes f7. So I'm glad to see it's a brilliant move. I'm not sure it's that brilliant, but the idea here, and I'll turn the engine off. I thought he cannot take with the queen because then I take that rook. That has to be like almost game over. So he's going to have to take with the king if he takes it at all. But if he takes with the king, then I have queen b3 check, and that will fork there. And I know the queen's defending, but the queen's overworked. So it needs to defend both these things. So we can actually trade rooks. Yeah, he did that though in the game. Yeah, so this happened in the game. But instead of, oh yeah, and I thought if the king goes here, we win that with check. So he actually moved the knight, which I also thought was an option, but of course the knight is attacked. So I just went rook takes, which is good. I think it's best. Yeah, it is. Queen takes, and then take the knight. Got to take it. And okay, we've got a pass pawn now. And we won our pawn back, so it seems like a sort of even game now. Which is good because if I didn't win the pawn back, I would just be worse. But we managed to win it back. So, okay. I was kind of hoping he would play that move. So I did a discover check. And the idea was that if he plays that move, I wanted to go queen a3, which attacks that pawn and protects my pawn. And then I would love to bring my knight up at some point, maybe even here. If this knight moves away, I will do that. Okay, so he played a6 protecting. I went queen c5. That takes the file. It's kind of an annoying move. If the queen moves, we have checks again. And if the knight drops back, which it did, I thought I would take that pawn. So looking pretty good here, I thought. Even though the computer says it's equal, I liked my chances here. He takes the pawn. I don't think we should trade queens because that 2 versus 1 looks like it's stronger than our 3 versus 2. So I didn't think trading queens is ideal for white. I mean, it's probably holdable and everything, but having the queen on, I think, helps us a little bit. Okay, and then I get queen c8 check. And okay, now we are a pawn up. So we've managed to get this ending where we're a pawn up. Oh yeah, he takes that though. I forgot about that. I wasn't too worried about this though, because I get that pawn. Queen h1. And now I thought, I think this knight just needs to be like a defender. He needs to defend against checks and stuff. So I decided to play knight g1. Queen comes up. I just have to watch out for checks. So like keep an eye on that square. And if I move the knight, this will become available again. So I want to leave my knight there. Knight can always jump here if needed to block that diagonal. So I checked. King there, check. King there. Yeah, and I was feeling pretty good about this ending. But of course, I was low on time. So 30 seconds. So wasn't sure if I would get this win, but I sure tried. Queen c5. Okay. So I go knight e2. Knight d6. Check. Not sure why that's a mistake. Queen c3 is better. Wanting to trade queens. Okay. Yeah, and that's a blunder. Oh my gosh. So I was winning at this point. I did not know. But I definitely wanted to trade in this position because we've got a passed pawn and they don't. So this is winning, it turns out. But I wish I had a little more time because I couldn't entirely figure this out. Okay, so I checked. Wow, it looks like back here I thought we had like plus 10, thought it said. Oh my gosh, I did not see the free knight. Oh my gosh, that would have won the game. It's with check too. That is really unfortunate. Oh wow, I think I was so excited to trade queens I didn't even look around the board. Wow. Yeah, I saw this ending was winning and I went for this. But unfortunately, this is much more difficult than having a free knight. Apparently that's a blunder. I should play knight to e6 here, which would attack the pawn. The king can't really go after my pawn because they might hang that. Okay, but my idea here I thought was kind of cool. I wanted to play a6, and my knight's protecting, and I wanted him to try to win this, and then he would have to, you know, do something like that, and then my king is in position to go run and win the pawns. But he actually saw this, and I like what he came up with. Yeah, and you know, g4 is total blunder. It breaks principle too, because principle says push pawns on the side that you have a passed pawn. So I should be trying to push my passed pawn. What I should not do is push pawns on this side of the board where he can make a passed h pawn. So, well, yeah, so computer says f4 though, which I don't truly understand. Or king e4. King e4, very interesting. King e4. If they want to take the knight, go for it, because you can't stop me from queening. And if they trade down, that's winning as well. So, wow, king 4. Yeah, I like king e4 the best. g4 is still okay. White's still better. Ooh, yeah. g6, exclam. They're going to make a pass pawn, and I have to make sure I'm in time to stop it. And unfortunately, I played king c4. Yeah, I played that too quickly. I don't like king c4. So if here, take, here, here, here. I'm in the square, but I need to get that pawn out of the way. I think that's what I missed. Wow, and here. I have a win again. But I took... Why did I play f4? That was just a horrible move. I must have been panicky. Wow, I had lots of time. I'm not sure why I played this move so fast. This is really unfortunate because I thought I could catch that pawn. Yeah, honestly, I thought I could get in the square anyway, but I can't. I need to play this to get in the square. And now if they take the knight, this should be good, I think. Here. Yeah, it's just like not good enough. So they should probably try to run in front in that case. Let's try maybe that move, but then I go here. I'm in the key squares. So that works. Yeah, but unfortunately after f4, I really don't have the option anymore. Ooh, that was a blunder. Wow. So now the option I have is to save the knight. And maybe the knight can stop that pawn. If it can. Yeah, and it can. Then that's winning. So, yeah, there was really 3 different plans to watch out for, and I just was a little too panicky to look at everything going on. So I could have used the knight here. Instead, I did a pawn race, which unfortunately leads to this position, which I think is a draw, because I don't have any pawns left to queen, and if we trade queens, it's a draw. So I just decided to just play queen check here and take the draw. But interestingly enough, the computer likes knight c5. Maybe I should have played this move. I wasn't sure what was going on, but it is pretty clear to me now that the knight takes away like a lot of checks from the queen. And they can't take us because then we take back and we're up a queen. So maybe we still will have a chance to like fork them. So this is definitely what I think I should have played. And instead, I blundered this endgame and got a draw. So pretty interesting game overall. Of course, I love the opening nuances. If we just review the game quickly now to get an overall feel for it. The opening was played well by both of us. We got a main line. I like all the stuff I did. I think makes some sense. Okay, I would never have found G4. But I better start looking at G4 because this is like the 3rd or 4th time that there was some crazy like G4 or G5 move in the middle game that's like an excellent move and a great plan. So I think I'll be making putting that in Chessable. And then there was F3. It's fine though, I thought. And okay, I missed a tactic here, so I'm not too happy with this move. I did have that bishop f7 thing right here with the fork. I also missed that check. Just not seeing that that came with check. That's a little disturbing to me, but okay. Okay, and I love the way I played this part of the game. Even though it was under 5 minutes, I still found some really nice moves here. So knight e2, queen f8, I saw, followed by this. So I calculated this. Yeah, and it looks like it only took me a minute to calculate. No, it took me 4 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay, still less than 3 minutes is pretty good for me. Because it was in this position that I saw bishop takes f7, and I worked it out. Okay, yeah, and I saw this far. And I saw I had this move. Yeah, and I saw this position from back here. So that's pretty good. And then, yeah, the way I played this part of the game, I like a lot. But then I make a couple really bad blunders, right, in the end game. So the first blunder is not taking a free knight. That's the first blunder. But then, even worse than that is, why is a5 a blunder? I don't know. This one's not really a blunder, like the engine reconsidered. So I kind of want to take that off. I don't know if it lets you. Oh, it does. Yeah, I mean, I could call it inaccurate. I don't like that being called a blunder, though. Just call it that. Okay, okay, that move, I guess, is a blunder. I don't like it. I wouldn't call it a blunder. It's a mistake. But, okay, I think that is a blunder. That is absolutely a blunder. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I should definitely either save the knight, just make sure the knight can stop the pawn and save it, or go king d4. King d4 looks good, right? Like king d4 and, well, is king d4 good, actually? King d4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So after king d4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be good. Yeah, we're in time. We're in this square. Nothing gets in our way. So I like king d4. That seems simple to me. But also moving the knight might be an option. Like 1, 2, 3, and we're guarding key squares, especially that queening square, right? 1, 2, 3, and this takes 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just simple counting. So I had those two moves, and instead I played that, which I thought I also counted, but apparently it did not. I think I made it just on intuition alone. And unfortunately it was wrong, because I was like, well, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. He queens first. This is really unfortunate. Okay, but at least I got the draw right. But that should have been a win. So I'm not all that pleased with the game, but it was good training and good practice. And, well, at least at the Cardinal Open, there's lots of time. So I feel better about that. So we'll see how I can do in the under 2100 section. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something, and I'll be back with more chess. Okay, bye.